Are there things you should never tell your kids? Once you hit a certain age, some secrets are better kept to yourself, especially when it comes to your health, finances, and life experiences. What could possibly be so important that you need to keep it hidden? Stay tuned until the end to learn why number 7 is the most crucial secret you must guard. As we age, we may find ourselves holding back certain truths from our children. Whether it's about our health, finances, or personal history, some things are just better left unsaid. In this video, we're diving into the top 7 secrets that seniors, specifically those aged 55 to 75, should never share with their children. These are the kinds of things that, while they may seem like small truths, can actually have a bigger impact than you think. You'll want to hear this, especially number 7. It could change the way you view your relationship with your children. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. Secret number 1, your financial worries. As we age, financial concerns can often become a source of stress and anxiety. It's natural to want to share our struggles with our children, especially when we feel overwhelmed by mounting bills or unexpected expenses. However, while this might seem like a way to lighten your load, it can actually cause unnecessary worry for your children, who may already be dealing with their own financial pressures. Rather than burdening them, it's important to manage your finances independently as much as possible and seek solutions outside of your family. Consider the example of an elderly couple, John and Mary, who were finding it increasingly difficult to keep up with their bills. Faced with the stress of unpaid expenses, they considered telling their children, hoping that they could offer financial assistance. However, after a heart-to-heart discussion, they realized that their children were already stretched thin with their own lives. Instead of leaning on them for help, they made the decision to consult with a financial advisor. This professional helped them develop a manageable plan that eased their concerns without involving their children. By seeking professional help, John and Mary were able to regain a sense of control over their finances. The financial advisor suggested practical solutions that allowed them to meet their obligations while still maintaining their independence. They were able to avoid putting additional stress on their children and preserve their family's peace of mind. This experience taught them that asking for outside help can often be more beneficial than turning to loved ones who may not have the resources or emotional capacity to help. One actionable tip for managing financial stress as you age is to keep your financial concerns private unless it's absolutely necessary to involve your children. Many financial advisors specialize in helping seniors navigate financial challenges, and seeking their expertise can provide you with peace of mind without putting undue pressure on your loved ones. You can also talk to trusted friends or explore community programs designed to assist with budgeting or debt management. Remember, it's crucial to take ownership of your financial situation and find professional resources to help guide you. While it might feel tempting to lean on your children, they may not always be in a position to help as much as you might hope. By proactively addressing your financial challenges and seeking the support of experts, you can relieve the burden from your family and give yourself the freedom to enjoy your later years with less worry. Secret number 2, your medical conditions or health decline. As we age, health concerns can become more frequent and more serious. Many older individuals fear that telling their children about their declining health will make them worry too much or feel burdened. It's a natural instinct to want to protect our children, especially when we see them already managing their own busy lives. However, keeping these health issues hidden often creates more anxiety and tension in the long run. The truth is, it's better to take charge of your health and share only the details that are truly necessary. Your children may not need to know every test result or doctor's appointment, but they do need to be aware of significant changes. Take the case of a 65-year-old woman, Sarah, who was diagnosed with a chronic condition. Afraid of burdening her children, Sarah chose not to tell them about her diagnosis. She continued to handle her medical appointments and treatment alone, thinking it would be easier for her children not to worry. However, as her health declined, her children started noticing changes, like her frequent fatigue and slower pace. They began to feel concerned, but didn't know why their mother seemed off. Sarah realized that keeping her condition a secret wasn't sparing them the stress. In fact, it was causing more confusion and anxiety. After some time, Sarah decided to come clean and talk openly with her children about her health. To her surprise, they were not overwhelmed or angry with her for not sharing earlier. Instead, they were supportive and relieved to finally know what was going on. They appreciated that she was managing her condition, but they also wanted to be there for her in practical ways. By opening up, Sarah allowed her children to be involved in her care, helping them feel connected and part of the solution rather than left in the dark. While it's important to share your health updates, it's equally important to be mindful of how much information you give. There's no need to overwhelm your children with every medical detail. Focus on the essentials. If there are major changes in your health, such as a new diagnosis or a significant decline, keep them informed, but leave out the minor details that may cause unnecessary worry. The goal is to empower them to support you in ways that are helpful without creating panic or making them feel like they need to take on too much. Actionable tip: share only the essential health information with your children and keep them updated on major changes. Empower them by showing you're taking care of your health, but don't overwhelm them with every test result or minor health fluctuation. By striking the right balance, you can maintain a healthy relationship where they feel informed but not burdened, and you can continue to handle your health with confidence and control. Secret number 3: your relationship with your spouse. When it comes to relationships, especially marriage, things are rarely perfect, and it's normal to go through challenges. However, as we age, we may feel the urge to talk to our children about these difficulties, especially when we're seeking support or validation. While it may seem natural to lean on them, sharing too much about your marital issues can place unnecessary pressure on them. Children, no matter how old they are not equipped to mediate or resolve marital conflicts. When family dynamics get tangled up in personal struggles, it can lead to confusion, guilt, and strained relationships. It's best to handle your marital issues privately between you and your spouse, or with the help of a professional. Consider the example of Jim, who was going through a rough patch in his marriage. He and his wife had been having constant disagreements, and he was feeling emotionally drained. In a moment of vulnerability, Jim confided in his daughter, hoping for sympathy and advice. Instead, his daughter, who had always looked up to her parents, felt torn and guilty for not being able to help. She started questioning whether the issues were her fault or something she could have fixed. Jim's relationship with his daughter began to suffer as a result, as she felt caught between her loyalty to both parents. This tension affected their communication, and Jim realized that involving her in their problems had only made things worse. After some reflection, Jim and his wife decided to address their issues privately. They sought marriage counseling to work through their problems, and Jim no longer relied on his daughter as an emotional sounding board. Slowly, they started to resolve their conflicts, and their relationship began to improve. Most importantly, Jim's relationship with his daughter was restored, as she no longer felt the need to carry the burden of their marital struggles. She was able to remain the supportive daughter she always wanted to be, without feeling responsible for fixing their issues. It's important to remember that your children may feel overwhelmed or burdened by your marital issues. They likely have their own lives to manage and don't need to be dragged into the complexities of your relationship. You may be looking for comfort, but your children are not in a position to provide the type of support you need. Instead, consider seeking help from a counselor, therapist, or a close friend. These individuals are trained to guide you through difficult relationship challenges without putting any additional strain on your family dynamic. Actionable tip: keep relationship matters private and only share them with trusted individuals who can help you work through the issues without involving your children. If needed, seek marriage counseling or talk to a close friend for support. By keeping marital struggles between you and your spouse or with professional help, you can protect your children from unnecessary stress and maintain a healthy family relationship that doesn't become entangled in your personal difficulties. Secret number 4: your aging fears and insecurities. Aging can bring about a range of emotional and physical challenges that are difficult to face. It's only natural to experience feelings of insecurity, fear, or frustration as we get older, especially when it comes to changes in appearance, energy levels, or our place in the world. However, constantly expressing these feelings to your children can create a sense of helplessness for them. They may feel responsible for comforting you or may even start to internalize your fears, which can place unnecessary emotional stress on them. It's important to recognize that while your children love you and want to support you, they are not equipped to be your emotional caregivers for these types of concerns. Take the example of Claire, a mother in her early 70s who struggled with the physical and emotional changes of aging. She frequently expressed how she felt invisible as she got older, especially in social settings. Every conversation with her children was clouded by her constant fears about aging, how her wrinkles made her feel unattractive, how she couldn't keep up with her friends anymore, and how she feared becoming a burden to her family. Claire's children, while understanding, became increasingly frustrated and overwhelmed. They wanted to help, but they didn't know how to alleviate her insecurities. Over time, their relationship started to shift, with her children feeling like they were always in fix-it mode, which left everyone feeling emotionally drained. After realizing the toll her constant expressions of fear were taking on her family, Claire decided to make a change. She started attending a support group for women facing similar aging insecurities and found a space where she could express herself openly without burdening her children. In this group, she learned healthier ways to cope with the challenges of aging through meditation, positive self-talk, and understanding that her worth wasn't tied to her appearance or abilities. Claire also took up painting as a new hobby, which gave her a sense of accomplishment and joy, further boosting her confidence. The impact on her family was profound. As Claire started to address her insecurities in healthier ways, her relationship with her children improved. They no longer felt responsible for fixing her fears, and Claire found that the more she took ownership of her emotional well-being, the less her aging struggles affected their interactions. Her children were able to be supportive in ways that helped her thrive, rather than constantly feeling like they had to manage her emotional state. Actionable tip: find emotional outlets like therapy, support groups, or hobbies to address your insecurities and aging fears. It's important not to rely on your children to be your emotional caregivers. They can offer support, but they should not bear the weight of your insecurities. By addressing your fears with professionals or through activities that bring you joy, you'll find healthier ways to cope, which in turn will allow you to maintain a stronger and more positive relationship with your family. Secret number 5: your past mistakes or regrets. As we age, it's natural to reflect on our past decisions, both good and bad. Sharing the lessons we've learned from our mistakes can be valuable, especially for younger generations. However, constantly bringing up past mistakes or regrets can have unintended consequences. When we dwell on our errors, we may unintentionally shift our children's perception of us. Instead of seeing us as the strong, wise individuals they look up to, they may begin to view us through the lens of our past mistakes, which could lead to feelings of pity or even disappointment. It's essential to strike a balance between sharing life lessons and focusing on the present. Take the story of Robert, an elderly father who often spoke about his past mistakes. He shared with his children his failed business ventures, lost relationships, and missed opportunities. While his children loved him dearly, they couldn't help but feel burdened by his constant references to the past. Robert's adult children, who had always admired him, started to see him differently, not as the strong father figure they had known, but as someone who had never fully overcome his past. They began to lose some of the respect they had once had for him, and his constant focus on regret affected their relationship. Although his children still cared for him, they began to view him with a sense of pity rather than admiration. They noticed that his conversations were often filled with what could have been, and his attitude seemed stuck in the past. This created a rift between them as they started feeling that his life was defined by his regrets rather than the wisdom he had gained through experience. It wasn't until Robert realized the impact of constantly revisiting his mistakes that he began to change his approach. He started focusing more on how he was living in the present and the positive steps he was taking to enjoy his later years. The turning point for Robert came when he decided to stop dwelling on the failures of his past and instead began sharing the valuable lessons he had learned from them. He found ways to show his children how his past experiences had shaped him into the person he was today. But he stopped fixating on the what-ifs. By focusing on the present, Robert's relationship with his children improved, and they began to see him not as someone defined by his mistakes, but as a resilient and wise individual who had learned and grown. Actionable tip: share valuable life lessons with your children, but avoid dwelling on past mistakes or regrets. Focus on the present and how you're living a fulfilling life despite what has happened in the past. Your children will appreciate your wisdom and resilience, and they'll be able to look up to you as someone who has learned and grown from their experiences rather than someone who remains stuck in the past. Secret number 6: your desire for independence. As we age, many of us strive to maintain our independence. It's natural to want to live on our own terms without relying too heavily on our children or others. The desire to not be a burden is powerful, and sometimes it leads us to hide our struggles. However, too much secrecy about our challenges can result in isolation and potentially dangerous situations. While it's important to stay as independent as possible, there's a fine line between independence and pushing away the support that we may need. It's crucial to know when to ask for help and to recognize that seeking assistance doesn't diminish our dignity or autonomy. Take the example of Sarah, a woman in her late 70s who had always prided herself on her independence. She lived alone in her home and was determined not to rely on her children for help. As time went on, her ability to manage day-to-day tasks like cleaning, cooking, and even getting around began to decline. Despite feeling more tired and struggling with simple chores, Sarah kept these struggles to herself, not wanting to worry her children. She didn't want them to think she needed constant care, so she remained silent, hoping to manage everything on her own. Unfortunately, one day she fell in her kitchen and hurt her leg, leaving her unable to get up or even call for help. It wasn't until her children came to visit that they realized just how much Sarah had been struggling on her own. Sarah's children were shocked and concerned when they found out about the full extent of her difficulties. They had no idea that she was suffering in silence, and they felt guilty for not noticing the signs earlier. Sarah, on the other hand, regretted not being open with them sooner. She realized that by keeping her struggles hidden, she had inadvertently caused her children more worry and stress when they were finally forced to step in. If she had shared her concerns earlier, they could have worked together to find ways to ensure she stayed safe and maintained her independence in a healthier way. The key takeaway from Sarah's experience is that while independence is important, it's equally important to recognize when you need help. Sarah's children wanted to be there for her, but they were unaware of the extent of her struggles. By keeping her issues to herself, she had made it harder for them to support her. After her fall, Sarah made the decision to communicate more openly with her children, sharing when she needed assistance and allowing them to step in when necessary. This not only brought peace of mind to both Sarah and her children, but also strengthened their bond. Actionable tip: while it's important to maintain your independence, don't hesitate to ask for help when needed. It's okay to lean on your children occasionally without feeling like a burden. Sharing your challenges and asking for support doesn't make you weak. Instead, it helps ensure your safety and well-being. By being open about your needs, you can maintain your independence while allowing your family to be there for you in meaningful ways. Secret number 7: the truth about your legacy or estate. When it comes to your legacy or estate, it's natural to want to shield your children from any financial worries or burdens, especially if you're still in good health. You might think that by keeping your plans private, you're protecting them from stress or difficult decisions. However, hiding the truth about your legacy can lead to confusion, misunderstandings, and even conflict after you're gone. Not being upfront about your financial or estate planning can create a situation where your children are left to sort through discrepancies, causing unnecessary tension when they should be focusing on grieving and honoring your memory. Take the case of Jack and Linda, a senior couple who decided to keep their will and estate plans private from their children. They felt that their kids would be too stressed if they knew the details about their inheritance or potential tax implications. The couple kept their wishes to themselves, not realizing that withholding this information would create a problem later on. After their passing, their children discovered inconsistencies in the will, with some assets being unexpectedly distributed to people outside the family. This led to a lot of confusion and hurt feelings among the siblings, who were already grieving the loss of their parents. The lack of communication left them scrambling to figure out what their parents had intended. The children soon found themselves embroiled in disputes, not just about the distribution of the estate, but also about their parents' wishes. Because Jack and Linda hadn't had an open discussion about their plans, their children felt left in the dark and were unsure about how to carry out their parents' final wishes. The tension grew, and relationships between the siblings became strained as they tried to make sense of the estate. The process was much more complicated and emotionally draining than it needed to be. Had Jack and Linda been transparent with their children, the family could have avoided this painful experience. This situation highlights why it's so important to have honest conversations with your children about your estate and legacy. While it may feel uncomfortable or even awkward, discussing your plans in advance ensures that everyone is on the same page. It helps clear up any potential confusion and sets the groundwork for your children to follow your wishes without guesswork or disputes. Transparency about your intentions also provides an opportunity for your children to ask questions and voice any concerns before you're no longer there to clarify things. Actionable tip: discuss your estate and legacy plans with your children in advance. Being open about your financial decisions, will, and long-term goals ensures that everyone is informed and on the same page. This can prevent confusion, conflicts, and unnecessary stress when the time comes. By having these conversations early, you can give your family the clarity they need to honor your wishes and preserve your legacy without the added burden of unresolved issues. Conclusion. In conclusion, While it's natural to want to protect your children from certain truths, keeping secrets about your health, relationships, finances, and legacy can create more harm than good. Open communication ensures stronger relationships and helps avoid unnecessary stress for everyone involved. If you're in the 55 to 75 age range, consider sharing these important details with your children before it's too late. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this video helpful, drop a comment below with one or two to let us know your thoughts. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more videos like this. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.